Okay, so we're just gonna start with a nice press conference. You know me, I love a good press conference. This was, I think, from earlier today, if I remember correctly. Um, and this is our wonderful uh, press, uh, I forgot, White House press correspondent or whatever they call him, Karoline Leavitt, and she is going to tell us everything about that is going on with Iran. So I will be curious to hear the White House's framing on this because everything seems to point to this just being a disaster from my perspective. But what do I know? I'm an America hating leftist, as they would say. So I'm engaging in America last mentality. So well, let's see what they have to say about it.
Side nearly 1,000 farmers who are coming in from across the country for the first event of the season on the South Lawn, so pray for good weather, to highlight the president's successful policies in support of America's
It's only coming
farmers,
through one channel.
including efforts to lower
I don't
input
like that.
costs, open new trade markets, bolster the farm safety net,
I don't know if
double
it
the
does that
death
for you
tax
guys.
exemption.
If because their audio is scuffed and it's only coming through my left channel. I don't know if it's the same for you guys out there. I'm sorry if it is.
End taxes on rural property loan interest, and create rural opportunity zones. Also, I'm pleased to announce that President Trump's meeting and long-awaited meeting with President Xi in China will now take place in Beijing on May 14th and 15th.
May
First
14th
Lady
and 15th. Is that? Wasn't it supposed to be April? That's a wow, they pushed it back a whole month. Interesting.
Melania and President Trump will also host President Xi and Madam Peng for a reciprocal visit in Washington, D.C. at a later date to be announced this year. Turning to the ongoing military operations in Iran. The United States military continues to decimate the terrorist Iranian regime's offensive and defensive capabilities. Just over 3 weeks in, it's abundantly.
I've never heard any administration use the word decimate as much as these two. Now, one might say that that is a classic sign of over projection, or like you're being a little too being a going a little too hard with your language to counterbalance the fact that you are not feeling super confident, but I'm not one of those. I'm a reformed man. I am no longer America last, Caroline Leavitt. I promise you.
Clear that Operation Epic Fury has been a resounding military triumph. More than 9,000 enemy targets have been struck to date. Compared to the start of the operation,
Pointless.
Iran's ballistic missile attacks and drone attacks are down by roughly 90%. The United States.
It was 95%. Now it's just down by 90%. Now one could read that as it's gone up by 5%, which I think it has. I think their missile strikes have been the amount of missiles they've been shooting has been going up slightly, but that is a kind of funny way to phrase it. They just, they'll always just frame it as down from that first day, even if it is going up.
Is also annihilating the Iranian regime's navy. We have destroyed more than 140 of their naval vessels, including almost 50 mine layers. This is the largest elimination of a navy over a 3-week period since World War II. Again, let me reiterate.
This is
the
stupid.
largest.
This is so stupid. I've said it so many times. Iran is not known for their navy. And also, we are known for blowing up civilian ships. So these two things in conjunction do not lead me to be very impressed by this fact.
Of a navy on the face of the planet in a 3-week period since World War II. We are systematically dismantling Iran's defense industrial base, which will prevent future threats to the region. Our military also remains laser focused on eliminating the regime's threat to the free flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz. Over the weekend, we dropped several 5,000-pound bombs on an underground facility used to store equipment, including anti-ship cruise missiles and mobile missile launchers positioned along the coastline of the strait. Our military efforts grow more successful with each passing day, steadily degrading Iran's ability.
They're really kind of showing their ass here because clearly the Strait of Hormuz is not open or whatever, or it is open, but Iran has complete and total control over who goes through it still, and nothing we have done has stopped it at all. So they can keep saying things like this, but the fact of the matter is that's not going to change unless they put boots on the ground, which I do think they are planning to do. But
to
we'll see if she
terrorize
talks
merchant
about that.
ships. For all of these reasons, we are very close to meeting the core objectives of Operation Epic Fury, and this military mission continues unabated.
Rip,
From the outset, President
rip
Trump
Epic
and the
Fortnite.
Department of War estimated it would take approximately 4 to 6 weeks to achieve this critical mission. 25 days in, the greatest military the world has ever known is ahead of schedule and performing exceptionally. Day by day, the Iranian regime is being crippled, and their ability to threaten the United States and our allies is being significantly weakened. Their ambitions of building a nuclear weapon have also been crushed to an even greater degree than they were in Operation Midnight Hammer in June 2025. That's why you're beginning to see the regime look for an exit ramp. They recognize they are being crushed, their ability to attack American
Dude, this
and
is
allied
so
forces.
much projection. I can't take it. I can't take it. Uh, like we'll go over it like in the next video, but Iran has come out and said, "Nah, we're not ready to negotiate." Like they keep saying that. So, um, like this just feels like a lie. It just feels like a
Forces,
lie.
as well as their ability to defend their own territory, is dwindling literally hour by hour. Following President Trump's powerful threat on Saturday evening, it was made clear to the United States that Iran wanted to talk. President Trump is willing to listen. As President Trump announced on Monday, the United States has been engaged over the last 3 days in productive conversations, which led the president to temporarily instruct the Department of War to postpone planned
By the
strikes
way,
against.
all of this negotiation stuff I think is complete bullshit. I do think they're trying to get Iran to the negotiating table or whatever, but I don't think it's to actually negotiate. I think it's so that we can then do a ground invasion because Trump loves to just like as soon as they start negotiating, like as soon as you get them to like start talking to you, just go and do a ground invasion. So like because of that reason, every incentive points to Iran just like should not under any circumstances negotiate with the United States.
Against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure only. The remaining elements of the Iranian regime have another opportunity to cooperate with President Trump, permanently abandon their nuclear ambitions, and cease actively threatening America and our allies. But the president's preference is always peace. There does not need to be any more death and destruction. But if Iran fails to accept the reality of the current moment, if they fail to understand that they have been defeated militarily and will continue to be, President Trump will ensure they are hit harder than they have ever been hit
Oh
before.
yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure, I'm sure. I've never heard that one from Trump before. If you don't do this thing, then we will destroy you and you will never be able to come back for it. He said that like literally a million fucking times. It's meaningless. It's pointless. It holds no water. Nobody takes it seriously, dude. Like that's just like I don't know. I'm so tired of hearing it. Like I'm sure we're gonna hear that same phrase like another 20 times during the course of this war, but
President Trump does not bluff, and he is prepared to unleash hell. Iran should not miscalculate again. Their last miscalculation cost them their senior leadership, their Navy, their Air Force, and their air defense system. Any violence beyond this point will be because the Iranian regime refused to understand they have already been defeated and refused to come to a deal. Here at home, we are now on day 40 of the Democrats' shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats in Congress are forcing American travelers to wait in hours-long lines at airports across the country, robbing TSA officers and other federal workers of their hard-earned paychecks that they use to feed their families, and causing billions of dollars in damage to our economy. A father of 3 recently told CBS News that he felt he had no other choice but to quit his job as a TSA officer.
I'll listen for a little bit more, but like I've said before, this doesn't play well. They're not. I mean, they can try to message their way out of this, but Americans are not gonna. Americans just think it's Donald Trump's fault, and they're going to continue to think that, regardless of how hard they try to message this.
And find other work as the Democrats' shutdown of DHS continues. This is the quote from the father, and I encourage everyone to listen.
How much do you think? How much do you think the father is going to blame the Democrats in this totally real quote that I'm sure they got from this real person?
I think the hardest thing is seeing the struggle that my wife was going through and not trying to bring more stress to her, the father of 3 said, but seeing her cry every night. How am I going to feed my family? How am I going to survive? For the Democrats in Congress, the cruelty of this shutdown is
Oh,
the
okay. Well, the person, maybe it was a real person because I was expecting her to like usually for those types of quotes and stuff, a lot of times they like basically let Donald Trump or somebody write it specifically, and so it has this like absurd like partisan slant to it or whatever. That was actually a pretty normal quote, so I was a little bit, surprised.
point. Nearly 500 TSA officers have quit since the Democrat shutdown began. President Trump, to alleviate this pressure, made the
They probably
decision to
should.
send some of our amazing ICE agents to help alleviate that stress and address the long wait times. And for all of the critics of this solution a few
AKA
days
just
ago when it
stand
was
around.
proposed by the president, it is yielding results. Wait times have improved since ICE arrived, and they are doing everything in their power to help their fellow federal service members. But it's important to take a step back and remember, why is this even happening in the first place?
The
For nearly
Democrats.
6 weeks, Democrats in Congress have kept
Yeah,
DHS
okay.
who was caught and released at the border, like this beautiful young woman whose family will now never be the same. Border policies and reckless Department of Homeland
Okay, I
Security.
don't care about the border shit, dude. Let's get to some questions.
And here in our new media seat today, we have Gabe Fleischer.
Thanks, Caroline.
Thanks,
Two
Gabe,
questions.
for being here.
Thank you. I have two questions for you. First, if the war in Iran continues past this current round of peace talks, and with thousands of troops on their way to the Middle East, is there a point, either a number of ground troops or a number of days, at which the president will consider seeking authorization from Congress?
Well, as you know right now, that formal authorization from Congress is not necessary because we're currently in major combat operations in Iran. The Department of War and the President, as I said, estimated about a 4 to 6 week timeline for the full completion of these military combat operations. We're again on day 25 today.
It's not gonna. They're okay. So number one, they are not going to get congressional approval or whatever for this war. And they already obviously didn't. You don't need to like after. I keep saying this. You don't go to Congress after you have already done the war to get the congressional approval to be in war or whatever. Like, technically, he is already breaking the law. So if the Democrats had any fucking spine, they would just have him arrested, throw him in jail or whatever, like, for breaking the fucking law. But they're not going to do that, obviously. Um, so, like, so this is all just a ruse. I don't even at this point, it's like, yeah, they should, I guess, still try to get the congressional approval, but whatever. But also, like, we're definitely going to be sending troops in. Like, there's been multiple carry or multiple like expeditionary units or whatever. Um, like the like I think a certain air division is going in. Um, all of this indicates to me that we're going to be doing some sort of ground operation. And I always trust the military movement significantly more than I trust the words coming out of the president's mouth about uh like negotiating or whatever. Like I said before, he loves to pump fake, so I'm sure that the trying to get them to negotiate is just so that he can do another pump fake and then do a ground invasion. So, like, I think this is probably going to go on for years, and yeah, it won't ever have congressional approval. But I think we're kind of, the Congress, our Congress at this point is just a vestigial like organ of government. It like has no purpose at this point. Everything is like either in the executive branch or the judicial branch. It like is what it feels like.
And as a courtesy, nevertheless, the administration did notify Congress, the Gang of Eight, ahead of the launch of the operation 25 days ago. And we've also had our top national security officials go to Capitol Hill to brief lawmakers, again, out of courtesy and out of respect for them. So at this moment, it's unnecessary, but of course, the president and this administration will always abide by the law. Gabe. Or do you have a follow-up?
Yes,
Sure, go ahead.
Second question. In my reporting, I speak a lot to young voters, many of whom voted for President Trump for the first time in 2024, hoping to have no more wars and to have lower prices. Now, with the war taking place and with gas prices going up, curious what President Trump's message would be to those voters who kind of swung into his coalition in 2024, but maybe don't feel the administration's going as they had expected.
President Trump is doing this for you. He's doing this for young people so that we are no longer threatened by a rogue terrorist regime in the Middle East that
Yeah,
seeks
but
to kill.
none of the young people give a shit about that. Like, he's saying he's doing it for us, but then, like, nobody wants this to be happening. Like, young people understand that, like, they're not going to see any of the benefits of like the imperial dominance of Iran or whatever. Even if America somehow like, and this is seeming like a big if at this point, even if America somehow emerges like victorious in some way, where like the new Ayatollah allows American oil oligarchs to come in and start skimming, billions of dollars off the top of their oil for like no productive reason or whatever, like even in that ideal world, no working class person like me or you, I assume there's no billionaires watching this stream. Um, but yeah, like we're not going to see any benefits of that, and I think at this point everybody understands that because we went through Afghanistan and we went through Iraq, and nobody saw any of the benefits that the Epstein class got from those wars. So like I don't know. This also seems like I don't really see how this will play well, but we're kind of past the point of like politicians even being somewhat uh, susceptible to the wills of the people anyways in America. So
The brave men and women who serve in our country in the Middle East, many of them young people themselves, young men and women who serve this country honorably in uniform and have been threatened, killed, and maimed by the rogue Iranian terrorist regime for 47 years. President Trump finally had the courage to step up and do what's right.
I keep saying they didn't have to be there the whole time. Like they could have just left. They could have just not been there. That's another solution for that.
By our national security, our homeland security.
God,
as
it's so
for
annoying.
The temporary short-term
American
fluctuation
imperialism
in gas
is so
prices,
fucking
the president
annoying.
has said once these combat operations are over, this administration is going to continue to unleash American energy dominance. We're continuing to do that every day, and we're going to see prices at the pump go back down, just as we have over the past year,
sure.
Because of this president.
Maybe in like 10 years, 20 years, maybe we'll see that.
For 1 second, if the Democrats had their way, gas prices would be as they were under the previous administration, the Biden administration, record highs. This president is keeping them as low as he can during this short-term combat operation, and they're going to go right back down when this is over. Gabe.
Thank you, Karoline. Just within the past few hours, Iranian state TV has said that Iran has rejected the U.S.'s 15-point plan to end the war. What's the White House's response to that? And
they rejected
have these talks hit a dead end?
They have not. Talks continue. They are productive, as the president said on Monday, and they continue.
This is so funny. This is so funny to me because they did. They came out and they rejected it. Like, that's an objective truth. And these people literally have to sit there and lie to our fucking faces and say, actually, they didn't reject it. Actually, behind the scenes, we're actually talking. Like, this is ridiculous. This is absurd. This is Orwellian.
However, I saw a 15-point plan that was floated in the media. I would caution reporters in this room from reporting about speculative points or speculative plans from anonymous sources. The White House never confirmed that full
Trump
plan. There are elements
was...
of truth to it, but some of the stories I read were not entirely factual. So I am not going to negotiate on behalf of
Trump
the president
had claimed
here
that
at the
was
podium.
the plan, but
what I will
don't
tell
know.
you is these talks are ongoing. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details that have been exchanged between the United States and Iran at this time.
Well, yesterday the president mentioned a very big present that the Iranians had given the U.S. He wouldn't go into detail, but was it that ship that was carrying 2 million barrels of oil that made it through the state of Hormuz?
I'll let the president speak on that at the appropriate time.
And then finally, Karoline, today Iraq's government reportedly is planning to lodge a protest with the U.S. According to the Wall Street Journal. There was an attack in Iraq that hit a military clinic, killing 7 soldiers reportedly. What's the U.S.'s response to that? Was the U.S. responsible for that attack?
I'll have to check in with the Pentagon on that, and we'll get you an answer. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, Iraq has been going nutty, dude. The militias, the Iran-aligned militias in Iraq are like, I don't know, they're really putting a lot of pressure on the American military bases that exist over there. I would not be surprised if like a part of this resolution would be like those bases in Iraq have to be like dismantled or handed over to I don't know, like I guess the Iraqi government, but they're kind of aligned with America, so I don't know. I'm curious what Iran will have to say about that and their conditions for peace.
Too, if I may. Speaker Johnson today described the conflict as wrapping up, but the 82nd Airborne Division, they're typically deployed at the beginning of conflicts. So does the White House consider this conflict as wrapping up, or is it changing shape?
As I said at the beginning of my remarks, we are meeting our goals of Operation Epic Fury expeditiously. The president likes to maintain options at his disposal. It's the Pentagon's job.
I'll tell you this, I almost guarantee the ground invasion will start on a Friday after markets close. That's like one thing that I'm pretty sure will happen. And I bet there will be some calming the market statement on the Monday after that, if I had to guess. So, but I will assure you, it will either be like this Friday or next Friday.
Job to provide those options to the commander-in-chief. For any specifics on troop deployments, though, I would point you to the Pentagon.
And today, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner reiterated threats to potentially arrest ICE agents that were sent in to assist with these historically long TSA lines. He said, quote, "The president cannot pardon you." Has the president seen Krasner's comments? Does he have any response?
The president cannot pardon you for what? He's talking to the ICE agents who are handing out water bottles and are helping people move through lines at.
Well, fuck ICE. Yeah, I would arrest them too. I would do a lot worse than arrest them, but I won't say what I would actually do.
It's a disgraceful comment. The men and women of ICE are great people. I would encourage this lawmaker.
They're fascist thugs. They deserve to be in gulags. But okay. Well, I'm kind of done. The scuffed audio really makes this hard for me to listen to. I hate when stuff doesn't have like the left-right channel or whatever. Like it's just on in one of my ears. There might be a way to like edit it in my mixer or something, but I've already had enough technical issues today. I don't need to add one more to my plate.